What's up, everybody? It's your boy Stephen J. I'm doing this video because I have a question. Obviously, what's trending in the media and social media right now is the death of Alton Sterling in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was killed yesterday by police. I saw the video, and right afterwards, you hear a lady crying. I don't know if she knew him. I assume not. But just the fact that what it looks like, and I'm going to reserve judgment until more information comes out. And then to see the news conference from the family today and to see Alton's 15-year-old son try to hold it together but then loses it. And just three words that just grabbed at my heart. I want my daddy. And how can you see both videos and then not tug at your heart, tug at your compassion, tug at your humanity, tug at you being an American citizen, you being human? We are the United States, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. We're supposed to be one body. But here's my question. How come when one part of the body says, hey, this is happening, it seems like it's ignored for years? African American in this country have said our dealings with the police, for some reason, is different from your dealings, meaning white America. And I'm not here to go back and forth or anything like that. But for years, black people in this country has said, our dealings with them is different. They may approach you, ma'am, sir, but yet when they approach us, it's with hostility. It's with defensive posturism. It's with demeanor. They're looking down, and aggression, such aggression. I, being myself, stopped speeding on I-95, and a police officer came, pulled me over, and yeah, he had that. I was afraid. I literally was afraid. Because when he came to my car, it's light outside, he had his hand on his gun while he's talking to me. In the car with a white friend of mine. Police officer, talking this, that, and the other. And not all cops, so I'm not throwing all cops out there. So let's just throw that out there. Not all cops, but the majority, when African Americans in this country are saying, hey, are dealing with the police, they're kind of rough. They're kind of verbally rough. They're physically rough. They're this, that, and the other. And everyone looks, no one other than black people say anything. And I saw a comment today, and it was actually made by a black person, that said had Alton complied with the police, what they said, he may have still been alive. And that's probably true. But I have another question. How many white Americans have a conversation with their children in reference to the police? That if you encounter a police officer, yes sir, no sir, make sure your hands are visible. Don't make any sudden movement. Don't make any sudden eye contact. And there's documented history of African Americans complying with police officers. And case in point, that I believe it's in South Carolina or North Carolina, and the officer pulled a man over for whatever, and he told him to go get his license and registration. The guy says, okay. The officer shot him. And he turned around and he said, why'd you shoot me? You told me to get my license and registration. I don't even know what happened in that case. But if we're a body and one part of that body is saying, hey, you need to take a look at this. This is unfair. Why isn't this happening? I remember watching the old news clips of Bloody Sunday, where the marchers in Alabama, and they were just beaten. The dog sicked on them and everything. And Dr. King came out and he pleaded to the compassion and to the heart of American Christians everywhere. saying, you know what happened last week was wrong. And if you're a Christian, how can you stand idly by and not do anything? How can you stand idly by and be okay with what happened? How can you stand idly by and say nothing? And here is the case with Alton Sterling. Right after the guy from Grey's Anatomy said what he said. And it's interesting because here we are on the precipice of something like this again. Is it going to be on CNN tonight, MSNBC, Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, where the topic is we need to have a conversation of race relations? Does the American have a race relation in this country? Yeah, probably is always going to be. Yeah, I think there's solutions to that. But what about race relations when it's concerning with the police officers? If there's any police officers watching, when you look at a black man, what do you see? What do you see? I actually wrote a poem about that. What do you see when you look at me? That races your adrenaline, that you feel the need to get physical with me. I watched some program, I think it was Preachers of Atlanta, and one of the pastors was a police officer, and he actually had this conversation, and he had two police officers have a conversation with people on the street. They were dialoguing, and then the police officer was approaching this one guy, and the one guy kind of like backed up like that, and the pastor was saying, I look at your posture and it says this. But he looked at his police officer co-workers and he says, but his posture doesn't mean that he's about to do anything wrong. It just means like whatever. And yeah, there's definitely got to be some type of training, but here's my point. I don't want to see the hashtag Black Lives Matter. I want to see, and that hashtag coming from black people. And what that does is a lot of white people will say, well, all lives matter. And then you're arguing back and forth, and Alton Sterling gets lost in the mix. Black people need to come together along with white people, along with Hispanic, Asian, Americans need to come together and say, you know what? If we are a body and my hand hurts, my other hand knows that it's hurting, I got to do something about it. So if my black American friends are saying, hey, this is what's going on, we all need to come together as one and say, hey, let's take a look at what they're saying. Is there validity to what they're saying? Is there substance to what they're saying? Let's look into this. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing it this way? And there's a pattern when it comes to African Americans, but with Caucasians, there's not that much aggression. There's not that much verbal bashing. There's not that much hostility. You seem calm and you want to talk someone down versus having your guns drawn, so quick to shoot versus so quick to assess and talk. The boy in Cleveland never got an opportunity to say, hey, this is a toy gun. The police never gave him an opportunity to say, hey, put the gun down. Is that a real gun? Never gave him an opportunity. Out the car, 1, 2, bam, bam. Child dead. Not bringing up, we've got to come together as one nation. One nation. One nation under God. And if we come together as one nation, my wife keeps texting me, we can address this situation and maybe come up with a resolution of why do you see me as aggression if I'm just doing this, if I'm not doing anything. And if I ask you a question, officer, what am I doing wrong? I would like to know. We're in that generation now where, hey, I want to know. Hey, you about to arrest me? Tell me what you about to arrest me for first. Versus me asking a question and then you getting super aggressive, attacking me or tasing me or whatever. I don't want to see this discussion on the news tonight about race. Let's talk about the issue at hand. And it's funny that two more things, and I'm sorry that this is so long. Two more things. It's funny that the OJ thing that just happened on ESPN, which was a good documentary, and everything that led up to the OJ trial, the Rodney King beating, and that little girl that was shot in the head, and the store only got 6 months, and stuff like that, where you see some type of injustice. It only goes up to so much and so far where, and if you think about it and you talk to African Americans at that time and you go back through the YouTube and check it out, you'll say, oh, now this happens all the time, but now we got it on tape. Now we'll finally get justice. That didn't happen. And it caused the riot. Should they have rioted? No. But you see what happens when certain things just boil over. I am totally against rioting, but this is what happens when it seems the justice system is one-sided. Second thing and last point is Bill Cosby. And are you bringing up Bill Cosby with Alton Sterling? Here's my point. I don't know if Mr. Cosby is guilty or not. I reserve judgment. But it's oddly strange that someone says, hey, he did this to me. Nobody really took it seriously. They were like, oh, Bill Cosby, that's America's dad. That's impossible for him to do that. He made me laugh on Nick at Night last night. He made me laugh on TV Land. The Cosby, second person, Bill Cosby did this to me. Oh, you're crazy. Not Bill Cosby's the funniest man ever. No one took it serious. Then about 20 or so women come out and say, hey, Bill Cosby did this to me. Now we're taking a look into it and we are outraged. African Americans in this country have been saying, hey, the police are doing this to me. And no one is still saying, hey, let's look into this. I know the justice system and the FBI is looking into this. I don't get all excited. Oh, now we're going to finally get justice. No, I don't, because look at what happened to the officers in the Tamir Rice case. I believe that's the boy's name in Cleveland. Nothing happened. They got off. If an officer says, and I believe that if they say, hey, I felt fearful for my life, that's justification of, okay, using excessive force or whatever, because your life was in danger. We have to be one nation under God. If we're going to get upset because a dentist killed a lion over in Africa, the zoo killed a gorilla, and that hashtag went on for over about a week, but we're not superly outraged over this, yeah, I want more information to come out, and I definitely want people in Louisiana to just continue to march, continue to express yourself, continue to show displeasure, and you want accountability, and you want everything to be open and honest. You want them to be open in an investigation, but do it in a civil manner. Do it in a civil manner. And let your voice be heard. Not Black Lives Matter, his life mattered. To that child, 15 years old, his life mattered. We got to get it together, America. We got to get it together. That's all I got to say. And again, this is not race baiting or anything like that. All I'm saying is, if one part of your country is saying, hey, look at this, is there validity to it? See what I see through my eyes as a black man. And then you come back and say, well, I still don't see it. Last point, and this just came to me. Most people in America will wonder if we have a border issue. People in Texas, people in Arizona, New Orleans, Florida will say, yeah, there's a border issue. People crossing the border all the time. But people in New York may not see it the same way, unless they come down here and live and see what we see, because we see it every day. So I call anyone that's watching this, American white, to say, hey, I want to see what you see through the eyes of a black person. And see after you see through what we see, if you feel the same. This is Stephen J. I apologize if this is 15 minutes long. But I felt it on my heart after seeing those two things today. I had to say something. God bless.